Hi, and welcome to Beyond the Racing Line, the Formula One podcast by fans, for fans. It's a new race winner weekend. Well, we're a week late. We are a week late. I've been away, but we're getting into it. Miami, it's a new race winner week, and we love new race winners. G'day, Tristan.
Hey, mate.
How are you?
Good. Welcome back.
Thank you. We're off on school camp.
Yeah.
In our part-time jobs. Well, we're not doing a full-time job of being Formula One correspondents.
I've been here for people listening.
I didn't actually tell you.
Yeah.
We had a great school camp, but at 3 a.m. we had a fire alarm go off, which meant we had to evacuate 68 children.
Good.
It was, it was quite an experience.
Good.
But anyway.
Good, that makes me feel good knowing that you're inconvenienced.
Memories made is the key. Well, that's what I kept on telling the kids. But yeah, Miami. It was a great Miami weekend, wasn't it?
It was great. I feel like the app is not going to be as pumped up as what it would have been if we had it out last week.
No, I know.
But that's okay. We'll make up for it.
I had a little rewatch.
Did you?
Tonight, coming into this.
I didn't, because I've been all focused on Imola coming up. I'm all eyes forward on Imola.
I'm pumped, but yeah, I had a little rewatch and just some of the main events. I did a little Ted's Notebook rewatch, which was always handy.
That's good.
And then a few major moments, because I just wanted to clarify a certain moment. Yep. Anyway, we'll get into all of that. Okay. We've got all our goodies. F1.5 is in full swing. Have you done the calculations?
I have done the calculations.
We need to delay a week more often.
I know, and I've also abandoned my notebook.
Oh.
I know. I went digital this year, and that's because I went shopping for a new notebook, and I'm kind of particular on things. I appreciate really good stationery. Like really nice, just, you know.
I'm going to be honest, your last notebook wasn't that flash.
I was happy with it.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And then I couldn't find one that I liked, so I cracked it.
Oh, good.
Because that's what I do.
I think I told you that last time.
That's what I do when I go shopping. I hate
shopping.
Oh,
me too.
I hate it so much. So I cracked it. I was like, I'm not happy with this. I'm going home. And I just went home. And I was annoyed at myself for wasting time looking for something.
I imagine Carolee is quite passionate about shopping too.
Oh, she has more than enough passion in our household for shopping. More than enough. My favourite days... well, no, they're not my favourite days. My favourite days are the days where I'll come home, and if I get home first, and our front veranda is just littered with what looks like an ocean liner that's fallen into the sea with cargo, not cargo boxes, like cargo crates. And she's like, oh!
I didn't know this was
What's
coming.
This coming? I forgot I ordered that. And as I'm just lugging 123 parcels inside. And then sort of, you know, the efforts that our other halves go to when they shop online. And then just the front door of the shed is just where all the evidence goes. So I'll,
all the boxes.
I won't wander into the shed until about 7 o'clock because I've no need to go in there when I get home. And then, I can't open the door. Here is, the Mount Everest of recycled cardboard just sitting in my...
So you leave a sock.
My doorway.
You leave a sock somewhere where it shouldn't be.
All hell breaks loose.
But if,
Yes,
okay.
but this mountain, they have to clamber up. And the thing that frustrates me the more is that our recycle bin is no more than 5 more metres from the door of my shed.
It's the big issues in life, isn't it?
No one's hijacked the start of the episode.
Before we keep going, we were off racing a couple of weeks ago, you and I, weren't we?
Yeah, we were. We were.
Do you want to tell listeners the results?
Yeah, well, you won.
There we go. It's going to be... No, I'm pumped. It's going to be a good episode. I've been looking forward to doing it, and I'll say that because I actually got surprised by your message saying, are we recording? I was like, oh, yes, we are. For some reason I've been running on, like, today's Monday all day.
Some of us have been on it this week.
Yeah, but no, I'm pumped. I am really pumped.
Yeah, you are pumped. I think this is going to be a loose episode. I get a real feel of the way that we start.
And particularly sometimes when we leave a race for a little bit long, we don't gloss on too many details.
This is going to be a real choose-your-own-adventure sort of episode I'm feeling this week. It's going to get a little bit...
But we're going to start with my favourite thing at the moment in our podcasting world is when other people do our work for us.
Yes.
And we've got Paul Cook, is it, I believe?
Yes, Paul's got an opening question.
And it's an audio opening question, which makes me incredibly happy. I love our opening questions from Kingsley, and we've had one from Sam.
Yep.
But if you can get us an audio one, you're 50% ahead of the rest. And I have got a couple up my sleeve.
Yep. And we owe Paul an apology because it was sitting there.
Yes.
But we also owe our listeners an apology too because we had this incredibly good quality question. And then what did we go with?
Oh, yeah.
Last week?
Mascots.
Just the massacre, Texas Chainsaw Massacre of opening questions.
I still haven't seen Sam since then.
I think that's in Sam's best interest is to not come and see us.
Well, I just feel
Relating
like...
to opening questions.
I'm interested to see what his opinion is as to whether it was me or whether it was him. Well, I'm not sure if it was his question or if it was the way I delivered it.
I reckon it was a lot of the question.
Oh, good. Okay.
It was a lot of the questions.
You don't usually let me off the hook, so
no,
I'm down.
I am letting... Yeah, I'm not letting you off the hook for selecting it and rolling with it.
Hit play. Opening question. Paul
Opening
Cook.
question.
It's a ripper.
Sorry, Kingsley, but it's a bit more fun to try and steal a question than just earn it. This week's opening question, guys, is around what you do in your daily drives that makes you feel like an F1 driver.
I love this.
So we all know that it's more than just keeping your foot down all the time. There's tyre management, fuel management, lots of things. Wondering what you guys play with in the car to make you feel like you're more of a expert driver. For myself, my Golf, it's a 2015. I can sort of read the fuel, how much fuel I'm doing per tank. So it'll give me like 5.6 litres per 100 kilometres on average for the tank. And I tend to watch that really closely, so I'll lift and coast. I'll, come into a set of lights trying to not put any extra gas down. Sometimes take the right roundabout in third gear, stuff like that. And when I'm coming home, I try to open up the roller shutter door and sort of swing the car in and let it roll down the driveway and roll into the garage, and then I know I haven't spent any fuel for like the last 30 seconds. So that's how I do it. Curious to hear you guys. Thanks.
Bloody good question.
Great question.
Because we've all been there.
Oh.
We've all been in this moment where we're just playing with things in cars and pretending we're Formula 1 drivers. I've got a magnificent set of corners just in my house. Going towards a school area. And unfortunately, the end of it's a 40k zone, but at night time it's not 40k zone.
Recommended speed.
Exactly. And it just lends itself. There's elevation involved and all sorts of things. It lends itself just to leaning into some corners. But you have to do it at night time.
Yep.
Because it's a little dangerous near the school.
Frowned upon.
Yeah. And then there's also, after that, there's a nice little roundabout too. So it's just a lovely set of corners.
Yep.
The other one is Google Maps. Always gives you a recommended, a time of arrival.
Yeah.
I just see there's time to beat.
Oh, see, that frustrates me, the time to arrive, because I will go somewhere and I'll stop. Like, I'm looking at the time saying, okay, I'm going to be home at 8:45. I'll stop for 2 minutes. But then suddenly that's added 20 minutes on my time home. And I forever find myself trying to catch that time.
Yeah. It's a time to beat for me.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you do?
Oh, God, I could answer this question for hours. What do I say? Well, I'll start with. I've sports mode in the Duke, which just makes me feel good.
They are wonderful.
But I can't discourage you enough not to put sports mode on while you're reversing. I found that out the hard way when I first got my beast. That when you have sports mode on, it's just everything's off. Like traction control's off, everything. The works off. It all comes, and it just really kicks into the gears, short, sharp, high revs, off you go. But it also does it when you're backing out of your driveway. And I found that the hard way when I left it on. And then I was just wanting to casually at 8 o'clock in the morning just reverse out of my driveway. But I found myself doing it like 100 k's an hour suddenly. So that was a little bit frightening. I also have, do you have that emergency brake system in your car? I have emergency brake sensors, but I have clamps on all four. So all four of my wheels will clamp, and it comes to a screeching halt. So it's like a permanent 4-wheel lockup.
Yeah.
And it's quite frightening when it happens, because you don't know when it's going to happen. And just the dash illuminates red, and I just think, Jesus Christ.
It is
the only person that's going to die is me behind the wheel.
It just reminds me of driving with my mum.
Man.
mum's like, "Oh, watch out for the car!
I know.
Watch out for the car!" And you're like, "No, it's fine.
Yes.
I can see it up there." But I feel like my car does the
this
same.
will stop for you, and
yeah.
it will do it.
Yeah,
even
no,
if,
mine does the
yeah,
same.
a leaf will fall across it. It's like, don't hit that leaf.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's all. Like, sports mode is great. I do have the same on the way to my mum and dad's. I have this little downhill dip.
Yep.
Which is sort of come off past the golf
Oh
course.
yes, yeah,
and
that
there's
is a
little
nice.
left, right, you know where
when
that
I used to
is.
go and visit you, that was a lovely
little
course
dip
to
that
the
goes
corners.
down in, and still to this day, I still like to just sort of, hum through there.
Yes, that is
Charlie
lovely.
knows when I'm going through there a little bit quick. She looks at me and she's like, "Can you stop doing that?"
Yeah.
My little boy's been encouraging me a little bit more, like
Excellent.
cheering me on, which is the last thing I need because
Yes.
I'm a part-time hoon at heart. And then the other thing I love to do is down on the big freeway where we live here in lovely Australia and Victoria, there's a little sort of roundabout, and same again, it's like an entry ramp where you go from 60, and it's a progressive speed limit. So you go roundabout, you go 60, 80, and then 110. And that's when I like to put it in sports mode and just really just... I know that I've got 100 metres to get from 60 to 110, and I make sure the moment that I get to that 110 speed sign that I'm well doing 110, and it's just the most beautiful and smooth takeoff, and I feel really, really good. Do I go past 110? Yeah, sometimes.
I've got to be a little bit careful here because I don't really want to be encouraging people to do the wrong thing, but police people aren't allowed to fine you for speeding within 100 k's of the signs. And so, well, this is in Victoria anyway, and so you could actually be hitting 100... that 100 metres before the sign.
Yes, before, because when you're at the sign, you
Yeah.
have to be... It's recommended you doing that. I like to just be respectful to the people behind me and go a little bit faster than the sign.
Yeah, I think
I
that's
don't
good.
want that. I just think it's...
Yeah, that's good.
I think it's the right thing to do.
I also like sometimes those slip off ramps to hit when you hit the 60.
Yeah.
I try and sometimes I feel like that's like the pit lane
Yeah.
speed limit,
Yes.
and so you can't, and so last minute you just
And
bring it in.
the freeway on and off where you've got like
Yeah.
the red light and it goes red-green and you've got like 2 seconds, so you're kind of dragging the car off because it goes for 2 lanes. So
ripping question.
Great
Thank
question.
you so much.
And for anyone wondering, we are incredibly responsible drivers at all times.
I think we've definitely got rid of those dispersions
so too,
with all
so-
our car stories
Yeah.
recently. Yeah, it was wonderful. Speaking of wonderful, what a wonderful weekend. Miami has the racetrack. Has it embedded itself into our folklore yet?
No.
Are we enjoying it yet?
Yeah, I probably enjoyed it a little bit more this time round.
Felt the same?
I think because I had a bit of a taster, I was just... Last time out was just dipping into the unknown. It's like, what's this? And I found myself really disconnected with it from the first time. But this one, I knew what to expect. I knew what the track layout was going to be like. Had a bit of an understanding of how people were going to approach corners. And I sort of was a little bit more into it this time round with some prior knowledge.
Did you notice there was a way less American crap going on around the weekend?
Yes, I did, which I can frequently appreciate.
It wasn't. It was. I sort of didn't notice it, which was wonderful because I was like, oh,
Yeah.
there was no weirdness going into the race. There was no razzmatazz taking away from anything throughout the race or even at the end of the race.
It was sort of, we just need to start racing.
Yeah, I really appreciated it. And I thought, I think it's actually enhanced that weekend. It's more of a serious race weekend than a gimmick.
Yeah.
It's interesting, I was reading that they're expecting Chicago to be signed off for a new race around a new stadium.
Yeah.
Why they love stadium races.
I saw that too, I'm not sure.
Well, my big question is, where on earth does it fit?
I don't know. 2026 was the rumour for it, wasn't it?
No, I think even further. Even further away.
Okay.
Yep. But, I was just like, oh, man, like we've got 3 at the moment. We can't possibly go on to 4, can we? I mean, I would be open to a New York race because I just would love to see racing in New York. But, I'm not sure where... This isn't the American World Championship. But in saying that, though, I'm quite appreciating all their races at the moment. Like Vegas has put on a show. We love Austin. And Miami, I thought this weekend was a good weekend. I thought the sprint race worked quite well at Miami. And given that was a track where overtaking wasn't the easiest thing to do, it was almost a bit of a strange choice, but it worked out beautifully.
I agree with you there.
Yeah. Brand new race winner thoughts on the Norris win?
Awesome.
We can unpack how he got
Awesome.
the win done, but
Yeah.
it was well and truly overdue. He
Overdue.
had a couple of
Thoroughly,
really close calls with race wins
Yep.
in the past and
Yep.
hasn't been able to pull it off. And then, managed to pull this one off. And, like I said, we'll unpack it later, but it was a really well-controlled win in the end.
And I think that's what's added to the flavour of it too, is that we've had the disappointment of what was Sochi. We've had so many close calls and the almost opportunities. We've seen him beaten by Dan. We've seen him beaten by Oscar in a sprint, and it's just that. And it, even became a bit of a sticking point with fans as well. But then now that it's there, I think that's what makes it a little bit more sweeter, because it's been really well earned. It hasn't been a walk up into a team and you've just got one.
Yep.
And I think that's what fans can appreciate about it too.
He seemed to really soak it in. Which I loved. I felt like sometimes, I don't know, like people are a little bit scared to make too much of the moment and not to get too far ahead of themselves.
Yeah.
But I don't think he got too far ahead of himself, but I just felt like he really soaked it in nicely.
In this day and age, when you look at like the last, Miami from last year, whatever, from Miami to Miami, really, we've had like 3 race winners.
Yeah.
Like 3 race winners. Like if you think about how many world champions we've had, the select group that is, to then see that how much a race winner is becoming such a select group, which is it's been Max, Checo and Sainz, and that's it.
Yep.
Out of a field of 20 with 24 opportunities per year. You can just see why, like, actually celebrating that, because you know what, it could never come again.
Yep.
Like, this could be it. If you look at Gasly, if you look at Ocon, like Norris could. We really hope that it's not the way that it goes.
It could, but
it could. But there's all likelihood that could be it. Oscar Piastri could retire in 15 years' time and literally have that sprint win to his name, and that's it.
Yeah.
Which it just shows, like, you've got to be so good, and everything's got to fall your way, even just to get a weekend ticked off.
Yeah,
it's
particularly at the moment in racing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it tends to be the case anyway. Like, it's the off season, it's the odd season where there isn't a dominant team. So
that's right.
Yeah, no, it was a beautiful thing to watch, and I really enjoyed watching the way he went about it.
And it's funny we mentioned that too. I was watching. Yesterday was the anniversary of Maldonado's win.
Yeah,
I think it was, and that was 2012. And we had 5 from 5. We had five opening races.
What a time
then we had
to be alive!
We had 5 winners, and then same with IndyCar on the weekend. I think we went 4 from 4 in IndyCar. And WEC's gone 3 from 3 as well. So it just shows just how elite the winner's circle is in Formula One.
Yep, absolutely. It was a sprint race weekend, and Max got the job done in the sprint race to Leclerc and then Perez. Yep. But the big talking point was Dan Ricciardo.
Yeah, fourth.
He qualified in 4th and brought it home in 4th. It was a magnificent effort.
It was a real tap on the shoulder reminder of this is what I can do.
Yeah,
not to the heights of what we had in Monza a couple of years ago, being a race win, but it was just like, hey, this RB is, for all intensive purposes, an absolute piece of garbage.
Did it justify his talk on the chassis not being what he wanted?
Gee, yes and no. Yes, because of the result we got almost immediately, like, a week after. But then no, because of the Saturday where it just fell in a heap. And it was like...
Yeah.
China was serviceable. And then the 4th place,
So, it was... he seems to be back, but there was that concern, wasn't there, on the Saturday, where not even the Saturday. Yeah. It was the qualifying after the race, where it just fell away on him again, and then it seemed to not come back for the race on Sunday. However, that track being that track and that car being that car, I'm not sure we ever really knew what he was capable of on the Saturday, just because of the penalty, his qualifying result later on the Saturday. I think if he had qualified 10th, he probably would have finished 10th. It's one of those ones. I don't think his race pace was too bad. It wasn't the ultimate strategy, but I felt like it was Ricciardo's back, but that qualifying upset him big time.
As much as I hate sprints, do you think that a result like that will start to lend itself to sprint-specific drivers. So where you can have a race weekend where your strength is sprinting. Because if you look at what he did in the sprint, he well outdrove Yuki in the sprint, where he even talked about he was on the limit every single lap, every single second, just pushing the tyres 100%. So I just have that gut feeling at the moment that now that the sprints are embedded, that we're going to have drivers that are going to be specialists at sprinting, like we have wet weather specialists.
Yeah.
Not that we race in the wet anymore.
Yeah.
But you'll have guys that can sprint better than what they can race normally.
Maybe. I mean, Oscar Piastri would be the obvious one because it's still time management where that's his area of
so,
need.
So Oscar would be a great sprinter.
At the moment, yeah.
I just feel like that we might start seeing guys that are going to excel in that area because while they might not be able to do like Oscar's got, he's still working through those challenges of tyre management. But he can have that weekend and say, I'm actually good at just flat out and just burning them.
Yep. Possibly.
Yeah,
I think it's also... I feel like it's also something for Formula One to take on board a little bit.
Yep.
I wonder whether we need to give drivers more chances to go flat out for the whole race.
I think so too.
But I don't know how we go about that. I wonder whether it's a whole new set of tyres that allows drivers to have a proper crack. Because I quite like the strategy at times.
Yeah.
It adds heaps of interest and it adds different skills to the race driver. Yeah. People say it's some, you don't want to add gimmicks, but it's not a gimmick, it's a skill to the race driver to be able to manage those tyres.
That's exactly right.
But yeah, I don't know if we need it all the time. It just feels like we talk about tyres far too much. Sometimes I wish we just gave them tyres that they could just push all the way.
Yeah.
And then we could see a proper race. But yeah. But no, I thought it was a good choice for a sprint race weekend. Even though overtaking was tricky, there were overtakes being made.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind that they were tricky to be made.
But I think that lends itself to the experience that we've now got, where you know where you can overtake and where you can't. Because even where we were passing last weekend, we didn't see those necessarily first time round, where people were negotiating the track and looking for those right spots.
Yep.
I think it was into turn 9. Was suddenly a really popular choice, whereas we didn't see that the year before.
Yep. The Norris win, it came... I was shocked, and then I was like, you know what, maybe I don't need to be shocked because of where most of our media comes from, being England. People weren't spending too much time focusing on it, but I didn't see much talk of it from around the world. Getting on to the race winner. So, Norris in the main race. He crashed out of the first... in the sprint race, then made a good comeback, really great qualifying. I thought it was a good, solid comeback. Nice and mature sort of race. He managed to qualify in 5th, and then got a nice start, and made things happen for him. However, he was very much benefited from virtual safety cars, which gave him the lead.
Yep.
And then we saw a situation where the safety car... let's unpack his race. So, Norris doesn't have the greatest of starts. I actually got that bit wrong. Norris didn't have the greatest of starts. Cruising through the pack, but has got really good speed. This new upgrade for the McLaren, which we can talk about in a minute, has got lovely speed. Yep. He's having a solid race, but stuck in traffic. Virtual safety car opens up the race for him. He takes the race lead through virtual safety car. Everyone else pits in front of him.
Yep.
He's got a lead of 11 seconds. Okay?
Yep.
Safety car comes out, and then he goes around for another lap, even after the safety car's called. The safety car doesn't pick him up. Is on the track at the very same point as where he is. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen footage of it, but I've watched the little dots on the track.
Okay, the tracker.
Yep. Picks up Max, waits for Max Verstappen, picks up Max Verstappen, and lets Lando go.
Is that force of habit?
And so,
and I know that's the most random thing to say.
I haven't seen anyone come out and say a mistake was made.
No.
Because, let me finish this, because I want to talk about that part. Okay, he had an 11-second lead when the safety car's called, which is solid, but that's because everyone else has done their pit stop.
Yep.
He's likely to only have to take about a 12-second pit stop anyway. So he's still in a good spot. Like, you still want to come out in front. But the safety car is on the same point of the track where he is, but he comes around, picks up Max Verstappen, slows Max Verstappen, and gives a 30-second break to Norris. Later on, the safety car releases the field so Norris doesn't pick up a full lap lead, because otherwise Norris would be the technical race leader at the back of the pack. And so they release the rest of the field to go and catch up on Norris. But in all of that, gives Norris the lead. Did you see this and see it unfold?
No, I didn't.
Commentators mentioned it. Oh, I think a mistake's been made. They haven't picked up the leader. Oh, I'm not even sure if their words were that strong. But it was just this situation where he might have come out in front, but it was certainly no gimme.
But it was
probably not. Probably not.
But it was still nip and tuck when they both came out at the same time.
It would have been incredibly close.
So then, I guess,
so you lose. I think they were saying that you stand to gain an extra 10 seconds, or not have to spend an extra 10 seconds in the pit stop. If it's done under safety car. I feel like he might have come out in front, but I'm not convinced of it.
Because if he's on the verge of hitting the control line, then if it's as close as what like many believe it is, maybe it's a case that they recognised, or it was just the pace of safety car exiting pits, Lando coming down the main straight, that he's hit, they're preparing for him to hit the control line before the safety car's getting there, so therefore they can't actually physically collect him in a safe manner. Because that's possible. Like, you've got to be...
The next question is why didn't they pit him? And this is probably the part that makes me feel like I'm missing something here, because I was expecting them to pit, but they didn't. He stayed out on track and did the extra lap, which is the risk being collected by the safety car. And if he had been collected by the safety car, the rest of the field would have caught up to him. He would have pitted and come out.
But maybe
that's
it.
Pits.
Maybe they had the telemetry to see, and they would have had something there to recognise that if you've got that opportunity to hit the control line before the safety car is going to hit the control line, well, then you can go through and you don't have to be collected. But once the safety car reaches that point, if you haven't got to that point on the track, then you're from what my understanding is, that you're free to go. And that it's just part of the sport, that you've made it. It's the likelihood of being able to negotiate something like that. You can't plan for that, or you know. The next thing is, why did they then collect Verstappen? So then that's my question. Is that force of habit? Is that you get into that routine? God, I do it when I drive to work sometimes, where I drive the same roads and the same path, and I have a routine, and I might go out on a Saturday morning, and I find myself driving out to work. I'm thinking, hang on, I'm not going here. You subconsciously, when you're doing something over and over again, it just starts to become part of your behaviour. So when you look at how many times that Bernd Mailander has had to collect Max, that it can just become second nature to you. And you just go, I'm collecting Max. Hang on. Like, even look at national anthems. How many times when we go to a race weekend will the Dutch national anthem be loaded, ready to go? Like, it is guaranteed to be there at the moment. Look at Lewis a couple of years ago. How many times would the British national anthem would have been there, ready to go? If you look at that trophy that was lit up as well, the Dutch flag would have been pre-programmed into that. For all intensive purposes, 90% of a race weekend is ready, prepared for Max, because that's just the way it is at the moment. So I feel like that, as wrong as something like that is, we've still got that human element where sometimes we can just go, oh, hang on, I haven't quite got that right.
So search, just a quick look it up here. Apparently they missed him by 20 metres.
That's, in the blink of an eye, 20 metres at the speed they're going is fractions.
Yeah, well, let's not forget they weren't at full speed though.
No, but still, even
so they missed him by 20
fractions.
metres, and decided not to let the rest of the field go, which is the part that's probably a little bit controversial, because if the rest of the field had gone, they would have stuck to their 11 seconds behind him.
Yeah.
And so to pick up Max was ultimately giving him. Now, The get-out clause here is they're doing it for safety purposes.
Yeah.
But if the safety car's, I guess, on track, you can't. Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's just a really interesting one because I was like, oh, what's happened here? Why they picked him up?
Yeah.
Picked up Max, who's in second place, is not the done thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a blunder on F1, and no one cares because it means that Norris is going to win.
Really? I think if it's a case of 20 metres...
No, well, I think...
You got to pay benefit of the doubt. There are going to be moments across race weekends that are going to alter.
They can see when their race week. They can see when their race leader is coming around. You've got plenty of time to make that call because the safety car took a while to come out. They should have made the call earlier.
Maybe.
Anyway, it is. Yeah, it's just one. I was like, oh, it handed Norris the win. Now from there, and I don't want this taken away from Norris because from there Norris managed the race beautifully. What he hasn't been able to do in the past is win a race while managing it beautifully.
Yep.
And he's managed to do that in this situation where he took off on and managed the pace of the race.
Yep.
He had a fantastic car, which was looking magnificent on track, and then the next thing about it was Max ran over a bollard, did some damage to the floor. We know damage to the floor. We know damage to the floor.
Left far corner of the floor
does all sorts of problems to your race, and so whether the McLarens were actually faster than him at the race in the end, I'm not entirely sure.
Yep.
I don't think so. We didn't really see Norris in full free air for long enough. When Max was in full free air, we saw a little glimpse of it before all this happened.
Yep.
But it looked pretty good for McLaren.
Yep.
They've got a car now. 10 different bits have been updated. They've got the car that they want for this season now. They wanted this at the start of the season. Didn't quite make it happen in time.
Yep.
Getting it out while being in different places around the world wasn't happening. So they've managed to get it to this one. And they're in a nice spot, McLaren, aren't they?
Yeah.
We used to say about McLaren they were very good at certain tracks, and they're
finding that
defunct that sort of dispersion about their car because they've now got an all-rounder. They were fast on a track that they wouldn't usually be fast on.
Yeah.
They were fast in China, which we weren't expecting them to be fast on.
No, not at all. And even they said.
Yes.
But then they did that last year too. I thought about that for a while afterwards.
Yeah.
They said that last year, and they said when we got to, I think it was Austria, and they said, we're not going to do well here. And but we knew that they weren't going to be good but
there.
Then, I mean, they'd done enough to convince me in China that, it was damage limitation. I thought,
but we'd seen evidence that was going to be the case.
Yeah.
But, so it's good science, and Oscar didn't get those updates. And I thought Oscar, we generally move on to the same teammate, so I thought Oscar had a really fantastic race as well, considering he had half the updates. Generally, half the updates don't necessarily always make you go faster, but he looked like he was in a really good spot. He had a really good race start.
Yep.
Found a nice gap. Where he qualified, he moved his way through the field really nicely. The Perez moment opened up the track for him, and he took it really nicely, and he was actually driving, I thought, the best of anyone in the field until he then had his tangle with Sainz. He lost spots in the pit stops shenanigans, and then had a tangle with Sainz, and his race was over, unfortunately. But McLaren are in a really nice spot at the moment, aren't they?
Yep, I think so.
I don't know. I was expect good things out of them this weekend, which is the next step. I'm not sure we're going to see the poor weekends the same as what we used to see with McLaren. I think they're going to be fairly solid most places we go.
Yep.
Monaco might be the outlier where you just never quite know who's going to turn it on at Monaco and who's not. But yeah, it was very solid, and it was wonderful to see Norris pick up his first win.
Yep.
Max, solid race weekend. He probably wins that race without the safety cars the way they work out. The virtual safety car, then into the safety car. But then, of course, he was not happy with the car throughout the weekend, was he? I mean, even though he won the sprint race, he wasn't happy throughout that. He wasn't happy throughout qualifying, but was still managing to get the job done.
Yeah.
Wasn't overly happy with the race, but then that caused him to run wide in a corner, took out a bollard and did quite a bit of damage to the back of his car.
Yep.
It just wasn't going to turn in for him.
Yeah.
Is this Red Bull being put under pressure yet?
No, I think it's just a slight error.
Slight error.
It shows that he's human.
Yep.
I loved his response to it.
Yep.
And you have drivers that make those errors and they have all the excuses in the world. And I think that's what I love about Max at the moment, and just the refreshing nature of his approach to racing is that it was, you know what, I stuffed up, fair play, I was beaten,
Yep.
move on.
Yep.
And I really like it. And I think that's what makes him a little bit more human as a world champion than some of the others.
And the relaxed Max is so enjoyable to have in
Incredibly,
Formula 1.
incredibly enjoyable.
I do want to see him back under pressure because I think
so. I think we
under
get that
pressure
real
Max, we see the best of
vicious,
Max.
best racing that we can see.
Yeah, I think we still see the best of Max. I think we know he's up there when it comes to close racing
Absolutely
as well.
is,
He's ready to go, but I love seeing him under pressure as well. But yeah, no, I'm with you. It was a good response. Perez, on the other hand, what on earth was happening in that first corner? Perez,
that was
down the inside,
Yeah.
shoots through, nearly takes out his teammate, nearly takes out the Ferraris by absolute miracle that he misses everybody.
reminded me of Mexico a couple of years ago when he went firing down the inside and ended up bringing himself a cropper off into the runoff area. Very lucky. You're very lucky. And I
Should
think
he have copped the penalty for that?
No. We didn't make contact with anyone.
It would have been the most unusual penalty in the world,
You can't give penalties for near misses.
but you can give it for reckless driving.
I think that's a bit different. I don't know that was reckless. I think it was...
Which part wasn't reckless?
It was over-ambitious,
Oh, my
but
gosh.
then the lock-up was just part of it. But he didn't hit anyone.
Yeah. It
It
would
was
have been
just-
really unusual to give
It was
a
a
penalty.
mad scramble. If
I've
we
ever
were
seen
sitting
a
here looking at
penalty-
a penalty, I would have been furious at that.
But if I've ever seen a penalty that should have been handed out for something that actually didn't cause an accident, it was that one. Because, so reckless.
Yep.
And, yeah, just out of control. And, yeah, could have cost all sorts of people. But it opened up that first corner and Piastri pounced on that. And, it was nice to see there. But, yeah, and then... where did he end up finishing Perez in the end? It was a fourth position for Perez.
Yep.
Perez had a win this year. He hasn't, has he?
No.
So we've seen Max, we've seen Sainz,
And we've
Norris.
seen Lando. Yep.
We haven't seen a Perez win this year.
No, we've seen second, third,
And a
off
fourth.
the top of my head.
Yeah.
And a fourth. And I think 2 fourths.
Yep. Is it enough?
Yep. Yeah, at the moment it is, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. The Ferraris. Charles Leclerc finished in third. Bit more of a solid race weekend for Charles, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He sort of got through. He was a second in the sprint. It was, when we're probably thinking that he was under a bit of pressure, he got back into where he sort of needed to be, I guess. Anything else to add for Charles?
No.
It was a bit of a quiet, good achievement weekend, wasn't it?
I think so.
He was really solid in pace. The Ferrari wasn't quite there. Geez, they're close though, aren't they? Right.
I want to take a minute to talk updates on the Ferrari here.
Okay.
While we're on Ferrari, because this weekend is, as a Ferrari, if you are a Ferrari fan, this weekend is this is going to be the most important weekend for Ferrari in the last 5 years, because you're right, they are coming. And they are building, and all the signs are pointing to positivity, and we're going to start seeing results, and we've seen that. So we have got a major evolutionary update on the Ferrari that's coming here at Imola, and I'm going to call it now. If Ferrari win on merit in Imola, that it is season on, because this update is enormous. This will be the biggest update that they bring. And I think we'll see another one after this for quite a long time, if it is successful. So these are just a couple of little mini examples of things that we have seen, which has been tested at Fiorano. Other than those hideous we'll talk about those far out. All right, so the overbite for the side pod is in, which is a direct comparison to what we're seeing with the with the Red Bull.
Yep.
So that's it. So we've gone from an underbite into an overbite, and we've got a full reprofiling of the side pod. So a really thin entry, and then quite a fatter underbody work where the curve for the bodywork, that had that little bulgy curve that was a bit of the wash up from the floor, that's disappeared, and it's much more rounded too. It looks like a little bit of a reprofiling as well of the winglets around the halo So they've gone with a higher reprofiling of the winglet and a little bit more of a curved sort of vortex look, which is sort of a little bit of a mirror of the Red Bull where they've got that duct sitting next to the driver's head, but this is an external one. So both of those are going to give a lot of really good downforce in that top area, the entry level to the side pod and then around the halo. So that's looking really, really good too. They've also got a cooling duct update as well. So down towards the bottom, you'll see that there are a couple of photos on Motorsport at the moment, which are lending itself to this as well. And a really great page, Formula Aerodynamics on Instagram. Get around that because it's incredibly informative for those tech heads that are out there. So we've got a cooling inlet that is smaller and more arrowed and pointed towards the cannon exhaust exit. So that's looking like a reprofiling at the back of the aero bodywork as well. And then also the rear wing has had a full reprofile too. So it's sharper at the DRS. It was curved. Now it's an almost direct up sharp point. And then we've also got a reprofiling of the Vortex winglets along the floor and the actual connection rod between the floor and the bodywork too. So there are a lot of things, and the front wing. We've got an underbite lip that sits just underneath the nose of the front wing as well, which not quite similar to the RV20, but it's going to give a lot more downforce on that front wing as well. There's a lot going on this SF24.
Doesn't always equate to time though, does it? When you bring a lot, it doesn't always equate to time. So they would want to be confident that it's all going to work in nicely together.
My gut feeling is that when you bring this much to one single update, that you would not be bringing so many aero and reprofiling components together in one hit.
I was going to say, I'm the same.
Knowing that they're not going to work.
Yeah, no. These are coming as a package deal.
This is a full evolution.
And it's a little bit like McLaren last week. They've brought the car that they want for the season.
Yep.
I feel like this is Ferrari's car that they're ready to race for the season. Yes. And they've been reservedly confident that this is going to put them into a category to go and fight.
Yep.
I feel like there's going to be a three-way battle.
I tell you what, honestly,
McLaren, I'm confident that they're going to be able to continue to fight. A Red Bull are going to continue to bring updates. I don't think Red Bull's done.
No, I don't think so. I think this forces Red Bull's hand too. That Red Bull will be sitting there and looking at this enormous package and the intricacies and the similarities between this and the RB20, and they'll be sitting back going, all right, a little bit of urgency all of a sudden. Because if they beat them on merit in Imola, I wouldn't say panic stations, Red Bull.
No, well, the problem is you can't panic because whatever Red Bull's planning, it's pretty much in the works now. Like we know that these updates have come through testing. Like they've looked at what they want to improve from testing.
Yeah, they did 200k film,
and then they've but that's different. So, but what I'm saying is these updates would have been being developed at pre-season testing.
Yes, absolutely.
And so it takes that long to bring an update that size. So whatever Red Bull's bringing is sort of locked into that point now. Now, how far into the season do you develop and how far into the season do you start focusing on next year's car? It's probably going to have to be that all these teams are going to be pushing this one because next year's not great changes, and so they're going to need to be continuing to push on this one. So it's an exciting time.
FP1 Friday night is going to be one of the most pivotal moments in the season for me. It really is. It is just I will be glued to this Friday night.
Yeah, it might give us the indication, but we won't really see until qualifying.
No, McLaren are thereabouts. I don't think they're ready to be the challenger.
I think they are.
I'm more inclined to think that Ferrari are going to be the challenger, whereas McLaren will have their day. Yeah, but Ferrari is the challenger.
It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. But I mean, it's just a Red Bull update away from them being back out to 2/10 faster than everyone else anyway. But it is exciting times. Sainz ended up with a little penalty for his crash with Oscar. He was pretty grumpy throughout that race, wasn't he? He thought Oscar should have been getting the penalty, and then he lost the back of his car when overtaking Oscar, did the damage to Oscar, copped the penalty.
Fair penalty.
Fair?
Yep.
Yeah, probably.
Yep.
I didn't think there was a lot in it.
I didn't think there was a lot in it, but sometimes...
Did you think that when Oscar pushed him off the road that it should have been a penalty?
I don't think Oscar pushed him off the road at all because he did not leave the road. He didn't. Oscar didn't leave. No,
I'm with you.
The track at all,
I think, yeah, with that situation, if you can stay on the track,
yep.
I think it's fine. I don't know about this. You got to leave a racing.
And
room.
I wasn't
when you're in that
comment either.
When you're in that situation when you're fighting,
yeah.
for the corner, I don't really think you need to leave room in that situation.
No.
I think if you can get the inside, if you can pull it up before the end of the corner, you get the corner.
Yep.
If you're dive bombing it, not quite the same.
Nah, the onus has to be on.
Yep.
It takes two to tango.
Yeah, but he just seemed to be in a grump, which is surprising considering that he's had such a great season.
I think he's
it wasn't his greatest of weekends.
No.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, he's still having a fantastic year.
He is having.
What's your latest thoughts on where he's going?
I mean, for
it's
me,
a mystery. Do you think?
Nah, not at all. I've been saying Audi for months.
Yeah,
I'm not budging on that.
There's a Hulkenberg Sainz driver lineup scream of next big team.
Doesn't scream of next big team, but if I'm beginning in the sport,
yeah,
that is a solid.
But they're not really. But they're not like they.
That's
they
a
plan
sound
on
foundation.
They play. That's exactly what it is. It's a really sound foundation.
But that's common sense from a highly experienced organisation like Audi.
Sauber's been in the competition for as long as anyone at the moment.
Yep.
It's not like they're bringing in a whole brand new team. They've had their leaders in that team for a couple of years now.
Yep.
They've bought out the full team.
Yep.
I was expecting them to push harder for a bit more of a show-stopping driver lineup.
No,
Science, I'm all for, and Hulkenberg has been magnificent. I think he's driving his socks off. I think it's a really smart drive, but between them, I'm not sure they've got their superstar driver. It's just I don't know. It's not quite. It's sensible. It's solid. It's good foundations.
So who's your showstopper lineup then?
Who could they go and get? And see, that's the big question for me. I'm not sure who they could have gone to go and snare, but I don't think if it's Science, which I haven't even locked in Science yet.
No,
that's the thing. I'm with you. I'm with you. I think that's where they're going. But Mercedes, maybe Red Bull just seem to be in a world of who knows. Mm. I can't see Sainz signing with them anytime soon while those two teams are still there. And so if they miss him, I feel like, I don't know, they really, really need to go and sort that driver lineup up because Hulkenberg's a very uninspired but solid foundation.
I wouldn't say uninspired anymore. 24 months ago, we did say uninspired. We were like, what is this garbage? Like this it. But if you look at his qualifying results and he's racing at the moment in an average Haas, he's outperforming that Haas. So at the moment on form, it's a very good choice. It really is. It's a surprising choice for me. Hulk was not at the top of my list, and we mentioned it on our socials a couple of weeks ago that there was talk of it, and it came quite sudden. So that was sort of for me like, oh, hello. So then the question for me immediately became, I feel Zhou's gone.
I think both are gone.
I don't think both are gone. I'm still...
Well, you're telling me the Science is best, may as well be signed.
I'm talking about the current Sauber boys. So Zhou's gone for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's gone.
Do you think that Science is going to sign for him?
I think Science is going to sign.
So that means Bottas is gone too?
No, I really feel that Valtteri is back to Mercedes.
Oh.
I really do.
Yeah.
I'm still sticking to that.
Right.
I had read, though, and I mentioned this to you yesterday, that Behrman and Zhou could potentially be the Haas. There was a couple of reports yesterday that started doing the rounds, that Behrman and Zhou was for Haas. Now, I'm all for Behrman to Haas, and I think that is, for all intensive purposes, as good as sealed. I can't see K-Mag going any further than this year. At all.
Don't get me started on K-Mag.
I can't.
K-Mag should not be allowed to drive this next race.
Yeah, well, he might not be. But then I can't see him. Behrman is going to do FP1 on the weekend. So I see Behrman as good as in as Haas, and he's going to replace Hulkenberg. I'm not 100% sold on Zhou going to Haas. It doesn't make sense to me for that. But then we know he's got the monetary backing, so that could be there. But yeah, honestly, for me, I really deep down feel that Valtteri's gone back to Merc, and that Sainz is rowdy. Now I'll be proven wrong when he signs elsewhere.
Yeah, and then what for him?
I don't know. You couldn't take an untried driver if you're building, I think, but then that lends itself to someone like Dan, because I just think the top team's out of reach for Dan at the moment. But then a project like Audi is a good place for Dan as well.
I tend to agree. If they could show that they were going to be good,
I think
it's one thing to pump money into a team,
Yep.
and to put all the right people in, but they've shown no signs of significant improvements.
But Audi also brings that afterlife of Formula One with the pedigree and the additional categories that you have. That if you are someone who doesn't want to go cold turkey out of motorsport, that you've got that opportunity that I'll sign with you and I'll do your development for 3 years, and then after that I want to go and be, your endurance driver. I want to be your WC driver. I want to be your GT3 driver or your Blancpain series driver. I want to be that person. I want to be, one of your marquee. Figures, endorsing your brand, stuff like that. There was reports that was Lewis's downfall with Mercedes too, that he wanted a bit of an endorsement deal and 3 years at Mercedes, but they only wanted one, whereas Ferrari were happy to offer him the ambassador deal. But no, man, speculation with that. It's just,
it's an interesting world that they're in. I can understand why they've gone with the Hulkenberg lock-in. Let's get Hulkenberg locked in.
Yeah.
Don't know if anyone else was going for him, but you don't really know. I don't know. I just feel like they're at risk of being this new works team with all the money and some pretty so-so drivers.
Yep.
And Sainz, I'm all for. Go and get Sainz, but I'll tell you what, you got to get him locked in. Sainz and Hulkenberg is probably just enough. But you want to have the next best thing coming in.
They'll have people in the background that are ready, that are already part of the Audi program, the Audi family, that have had motorsport. They'll have people that we've never heard of before. That'll be doing the rounds.
That are no ones, and are not tried, and have not achieved anything.
No, but they'll know. They'll have in-house. They'll be the type of team that'll bring that in-house person through as well. Seb's at Imola too. On the weekend, he'll be driving Senna's. He'll be driving Senna's. I don't know what one he's driving. I don't know if he's driving the MP44. Actually,
I think it is. I think
he'll
it
be
is.
there. He's doing the test run there in the MP. I'll say MP44 for conversation's sake.
I think I have seen that written somewhere.
And he will allegedly be meeting with Mercedes too. So.
Yep. Speaking of Mercedes, they finished in 6th and 8th. There's nothing to talk about there.
There's nothing to talk about with Mercedes anymore. It's a rapid decline. They're the end of the...
And they've got another year of it.
Top echelon. Oh, absolutely. They've got updates coming, but they're nothing more than just a couple of Band-Aid fixes, to be quite honest, from what I've read, so it's not going to skyrocket them up. Lewis has lost interest.
Yep.
I'm not going to be swayed anyway.
Yep.
Other than that. He's not interested. He's looking at the front of the grid at Ferrari going, I'm going to be in that next year.
Let's talk Yuki Tsunoda.
Okay.
7th position, solid race again. Benefited from some safety car action.
That's all right.
But yeah, he was sort of on the same run plan as Norris. Made it all work for him. He's having a stellar year. Another 6 points to the team. It's it's a strong ride. Where does Yuki Tsunoda end up?
He stays there.
He does stay there, doesn't he?
Yep. He's following the path of Gasly.
Unless they can talk Lance Stroll into taking up. What can you take up this week?
Why? If anyone in your organisation, the person, when you sit down at a boardroom meeting on Monday and they go, all right, guys, give me the name of a driver I'd like to sign. The moment that your employee mentions Lance Stroll, your option is to shut down business and never race again, or fire that person. And if you have any other option to agree with that person, you don't deserve to be in motorsport. What absolute moron is going to sit at the table and say, I'd like to get Lance Stroll?
It must be really hard for them.
I'd say, please clean your desk out.
It must be really hard for them, considering that they're all born racers. They're all these incredibly intelligent people that like to break down the data, that like to go and be the best they can possibly be.
Yeah.
And they're like, right, what are some areas we can improve as a team to make us a better race team? And it must be like all sitting in their heads when they're in that board meeting saying, rightio, if we could get rid of Lance Stroll and put in someone decent, we are going to be picking up so many more points. And no one's allowed to say it.
No, because you wouldn't say it because you fear for your family's lives.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. So it's just a strange situation. But
it'd be like a Liam Neeson movie where suddenly your wife's on the phone with your kids and you're held at ransom for doing something like that.
Yeah, but if they could talk Stroll into retiring, I think we'd see Yuki Tsunoda head over there with Honda pretty quick. And I think that he's now put himself in that situation where he is a lot more desirable than what he was.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's finally turned into that race driver that everyone hoped that he would be.
Yeah.
It's taken a long time, but he's finally found his groove. But the risk would be in taking Yuki out of that team. There's no guarantee he's going to drive the next car.
No,
I think there's also a correlation with Dan arriving that team to develop this car.
Yep.
With Yuki's uplift in form.
Yeah, and
I think Yuki's really enjoying a better car thanks to the development. Yep.
And Dan mentioned that too. That he's playing a part in asking questions, and he knows I'm saying, hey, I'm thinking about this and that, and I'd like you to add to it.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No.
Williams, they were the worst race strategy.
I'm just finished. I've finished.
Worst race strategy
I've
seen in a long time.
I have. I was really... Like last year, I'd been critical of them for a long time, and then I was back on them, and they were feeling good, and we sort of had the first couple of races, and we're like, yeah, maybe, and no, that's it. I'm finished with Williams for 2024.
How does James Vowles allow that race strategy to get across the line?
I
know he's not in charge of strategy, and so
they're a mess.
A good manager wouldn't step in and say, hey, this race strategy ain't going to work, guys. We can't leave him on tyres when everyone else is having to change. We haven't got this supercar that's going to make the tyres last all that time.
Yep.
But man, he must be.
They're a mess.
Must be shaking his head.
And they've taken 10 steps back this year. You can't say that they have done anything other than that. Logan will be gone. Spare chassis list for the first opening part of the season. I mean, it's there now. Alex is not the hot property that he was 12 months ago. If I was Alex, I'd be kicking myself that I didn't just strike while the iron was hot, because he was the most marketable driver and the most gettable driver in the sport.
I don't know that anyone actually
6 months ago.
Ready to come for him, though. That's the problem.
But he was there.
It was
and
next
he was
year.
ready to capitalise this year, and it's all fallen into heap. But that's not his fault.
I think he's still a prime candidate for a Mercedes seat. I think a George and an Albon
maybe
combination might be on the cards. But
you gotta make hay while the sun shines, don't you?
Yep.
But yes, Williams are a mess. I'm officially off them for 2024.
Yeah,
they can come and see me in 2025.
Go on, hit me with your race rankings. Well, weekend rankings.
Just weekend rankings.
Well, yeah.
I'm just gonna
go for it.
I'm just gonna hit you right between the eyes with a 9 straight off.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry, no.
Just a 9.
I wasn't actually talking about that part. We were supposed to do that earlier.
You said race ranking?
Yeah, no, I know. I meant the all signs 3, 2, and 1. But a 9 for the race. We didn't ask you that question.
A 9 for the weekend.
I'll go for an 8. I thought it was a really enjoyable race weekend.
We had a first-time winner.
We did.
You always talk about that. You've got your checklist of what you need to see. I know we didn't see an on-track pass for the. Do you know
Norris didn't actually overtake anyone for the whole race?
And I don't think he cares one bit.
No, he doesn't care. No, an 8. An 8's good for me. But yeah, the criteria nearly fits a 9. Give me your all signs driver of the year. 3, 2, and 1.
3, 2, and 1. 3 to Lando Norris.
Correct. Yes.
Correct.
I'll do that one. Even though he was punted in the first in the sprint race.
2 to Oscar.
Couldn't agree more.
A high quality drive.
Oh, I'm not sure I can deal with this. If we're going to be the same,
the result didn't reflect.
100%
how well he drove.
See.
He was in first
Actually,
place.
you know what? I'm going to change mine
He was
around.
23 laps in. He was first place.
I'm going to change mine around.
Okay.
I'm giving 2 to Lando and 3 to Oscar because
You're giving
Os-
2 to a first-time race winner.
Yeah, well, Oscar drove better than him across the whole weekend.
Fair.
And so, yeah, that's definitely.
Fair. That's
Yep.
fair.
Who's your 1 point going to?
I'm going to give one to Ocon
Oh, yeah.
because he scored points.
He did score their first point, wasn't it?
And fair play to Alpine because I had given them an absolute barrage in the first round and written them off and said, my God, what are you doing?
And Ocon.
And Ocon and...
And he drove close to his teammate without crashing.
Yes, and that's...
They
they
actually-
really shouldn't be applauding that because you should be doing that anyway. But, yeah, you got to... Yep.
I'm going
Credit
to
where credit's due.
give my one to Yuki.
Okay.
Once again, a 7th in that RB
Okay.
is a fine result. Dud of the day, or dud of the
Dud
weekend.
of the day, dud of the weekend. Dud of the weekend. Dud of the weekend and the week leading up to the weekend
Ooh.
goes to Ferrari.
Oh, damn it, you've stolen mine.
Because,
Oh.
for Christ's sake...
All right. I've got...
And you know how hot on this I was.
I'm gonna,
and I
you know what?
was...
I'm going to attach my dud to your dud.
go
but
for it.
I'm going to make you the dud
What? That's no.
for overselling what
No.
Ferrari were going to bring.
Everybody oversold it. They teased so many
You
examples.
get these right a lot.
I do get this right a lot, and I'm
And
on
this
good form,
one-
and I'm not taking that because I was led down the garden path, as was 99% of the world's population.
I think I've dudded you more this year.
Oh,
than
yeah,
I have
I'm
in
not
the
happy
last
with
years.
that. Watch yourself next week. And we were hinted with all of this blue. So look at this blue. Look at these examples of the overall. Look at the number 7 from 70
race
years
shirts.
ago. But look at the liveries. Look at everything. There's no red here. What are you talking about? And then all the socials. And then you get the wheel hubs. You get the wheel hubs on Instagram on 30th April. It's blue. And we're like, yes, that matches the number 7. We're on here. This is going to be blue. And then on the 1st of May, what do we get? We get a red note. There it is. Look at that. That's it. That's the most horrific photo in Formula One history of the red nose, with nothing more than the scrap blue vinyl off the office floor that was put in someone's bag with a heat gun and flown to Miami. And then what they did is they sat in the garage and said, hey fellas, where will this fit? And they're like, put a bit on the wing.
Jeez, they undercooked it in such a bad way.
Wow.
For all their
my
promotion.
God.
For all their promotion, and then what they released, I don't think anyone was impressed.
They had the Formula One world in their hand.
I'm waiting to watch Ferrari turn blue for a weekend.
Ready to, of the thousands of brand new Netflix fans, they had them, and they were there going, wallets in hand, let me be a Ferrari fan, and all they had to do...
I would have bought a hat. I would have bought the blue hat.
Oh my God, I would have done the same. And they had us all there ready to go, and they were ready to become the team of the year, and all these fans and money and promotion flowing through. And what did they do? Just went, no, that'll do.
And you came along for the ride, and that's why you, my friend...
I don't swear on these episodes, I'm very close to, but far out.
That is the closest you do get.
Honestly.
All right.
Name a bigger letdown. Name a bigger letdown.
You, for selling it to me.
No.
I want to go. I want to inject some positivity here.
You can't.
Hero of the hour.
Hero of the hour is not
RB.
RB. Oh,
Wasn't
thank
that
you.
beautiful?
Thank you. And it was just like, hey,
Red Bull should learn from
we're
this
going to
because
Miami.
Red Bull's messed this up many a time.
That's right. By the way, would you like a new livery? Yes, please. And so everyone that was on the verge of becoming a lifelong Ferrari fan, and that 10 years' time we'll be sitting here having this conversation, hey, what's the best livery of all time?
Remember that beautiful
it's not
blue
the Brawn
one?
anymore, it's the blue Ferrari.
Remember that beautiful blue Ferrari?
Remember that Ferrari? I remember that. Man, that was so good.
That was so good.
No one will ever have that conversation.
They won't do that again because
No.
it was too good. You can't
Remember
react
that
it.
head
Yep.
of crap that
Yep.
we stuck on the red Ferrari and told everyone it was
Yeah.
going to be blue?
No.
Oh,
RB should seriously keep that livery.
they
Isn't it
should because it's
magnificent?
fun and it's exciting and that will bring
But it set them apart from everyone else. It was just
it's fun.
It was
imagine
they
being
nailed
a
it.
14-year-old kid watching F1 with your mum and dad and going, oh, look at that car. Like, I want to be in that team. How many kids are sitting around going, hey, Dad, man, I wish I drove that Ferrari with about 30 centimetres of blue vinyl on it. No one.
You know what's not done of the day? F1.5.
I'm so angry right
Let's
now.
go to F1.5. Let's cheer you up because this is the championship. If you're new to listening or you're new to F1.5,
Yeah.
it is. Well, for starters, our episodes are a little bit more together than this. Sometimes maybe lots of people out there will probably like, no, it's not. This is exactly how it usually runs, Roger. But if you're new to Beyond the Racing Line, F1.5 is where we remove the leaders of the categories of F1 and to see where everyone else would fit because you don't always get points. Now, Formula One is trying to ruin our game here by adding all the points to everybody. We'll talk about that in the news.
Yep.
However, at the moment, that hasn't happened, and F1.5 is still alive and well. Update, Tristan, who have we removed? We've removed the Red Bulls. We've removed Ferrari from points. We've removed the McLarens from points.
Yep.
The Aston Martins have been removed, is that right?
I've had a bit of a change of heart.
I've
had a bit of a change of heart. Did you know?
Mercedes have been removed.
Mercedes have been removed.
Yep.
Aston
Martin, where are we at?
Aston Martin. All right, so here's what I've done.
We had the big announcement last week.
We had the big announcement last week, and I've worked out the championship. I've gone back, and I've worked out the championship with Lance in it, and I've worked it out without Lance in it. Because what I don't want is for Lance to win.
You don't. Well, but
I just don't want it.
He shouldn't be.
He shouldn't be winning.
Because he's not. He's in a too good a car to be in that category.
So I'm gonna consult with you for the first time here.
Whoa!
All right, and I just want your gut feeling. All right. So I'm gonna go through both. I'm gonna go through it without him, and then we're gonna go through it with him because my heart is torn.
I can't hold this much data in
my
my head.
heart is torn. That's all right. I'll make it really easy for you.
Good.
My heart is torn because do I do what I said to our beloved listeners out there and say yes, we're gonna have this? I feel like Ferrari. I'm gonna give you a blue Ferrari. And then I'm not going to give it to you. And then I'm going to give it to you with him in it. And then I'm going to consult with you.
All right.
And I want you to give me your feedback on it. All right? All right, ready to go. Speaking of Ferrari, did you know there were 9 HP logos on that car?
On the Ferrari?
On the Ferrari. 1 on the helmet, 1 on the halo, 2 on the front wing, 2 on the back wing, 2 on the side ports, 2 on the overalls.
I couldn't tell you because I couldn't look at it. It made me cry. It made my eyes bleed every time I saw it.
I'm so
HP
upset.
should be asking for their money back.
I was having the best day too. All right. I wasn't. F1.5. All right. I'll go through it in order for you because I know.
Yes.
I know you.
Thank goodness. Well, now you're doing it digitally. You can do it with the computer.
I know I can do it with the computer. All right. So
he doesn't know how to.
I know.
That's obvious.
I do know how to do it. All right. So here it is. This is option 1.
Yep.
Without.
Okay.
Lance Stroll.
Okay.
All right. So I'll go from first down because that makes life easy for you. Because I know you need time to think.
Good.
All right. So in first place is Nico Hülkenberg on 109.
Interesting.
Very good. In second place is Yuki Tsunoda, 97. Third place. Give me a quick prediction.
You wanted quick, and I can't do that. Was this with or without? This is without.
This is without.
I don't know. Ocon?
Magnussen.
I don't know. Panicked. Magnussen, really? I thought he'd had too many penalties.
Ocon, you did panic. You know when you go somewhere and you want to order some food and you've got it in your head and the waitress said, what would you like? And then you panic. You just go Palmer. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Magnussen in third place on 73 points.
There you go. Thought he had too many penalties.
Well. Yeah, no, that's not included in. All right, so from there on in, we've got Ocon next on 66 points.
Wasn't that bad, was it?
You went too far. I thought it was funny, though. Albon on 60 points. And then we're looking at Zhou on 55. Then we've got Dan and Gasly on 45 each. Then you've got Bottas on 31. And lucky last, you've got Sargent on 24. So the beauty of this is, because we've got 10 runners without Stroll, everyone's scoring.
I like
regardless.
That. Well, unless
and I don't mind that. We've not had that in years gone by. Yeah, I'll still classify you because you've got to be 10th. Because you're there, because you can have an order of DNF.
I know, it
it's
annoys
only one
me.
or two. I know it annoys you too. You're very lucky you're being consulted this week. So that's what it looks like. So we can have the 10 runners, everyone scored points. That's fun. It's a bit of participation award for some people, e.g. Logan Sargent. Yep. All right, so this is it with him in it.
I want to know when you kicked Logan Sargent out.
No, well, we got 10 runners, so you just keep him in there. He's just
okay.
he's
All right.
the last kid on the dodgeball team. It's nice to have you. Someone's got to go out first.
Yeah, you got to be even teams.
Yes, yeah, exactly. All right, where do you think Stroll is when he's in it?
Oh,
Third.
third.
Okay, all right, cool. So in first place is still Hulkenberg on 104. So a little bit watered down points.
Yep.
In second place is Yuki on 87. Yes, he is in third place on 78 points.
Good at this game.
Which is not a lot. Well done for you. You had a moment to think about it. So that's what that looks like. So I'm just gonna leave it there because the general running order is pretty close, give or take a handful of points. So here's my question to you. We can leave him in there, and he's currently third. It's not as tight. Like, there's a little bit of a gap between. So, for example, Bottas is on 25, whereas the other one is on 31. So it's within striking distance. So everyone in the Lanceless, series.
I am torn like you are because it's nice to embarrass him because he's in that really nice car.
But he might win. And I'm not
No. But he's in that nice car and he mightn't win.
Yep.
And so that is a nice embarrassment for him. It's a nice display of, hey, you're in that fast car and you couldn't even win F1.5. That's good, but the risk is that he ends up getting enough decent results.
Yeah, and that makes us
in that great car.
We can't have that.
And we have to celebrate the man.
All right, great call. I'm going to take him out.
You just could not. You could not hear me say we're going to celebrate the man again.
No, didn't matter. That's it. He's out. So we're going with the Lanceless League this year.
Yeah.
All right. So there's our Lanceless League. So let's go through it one more time. We'll go top to bottom. Hulk leads on 109 points. And then
I said he was an inspired driving signing, wasn't
you've got Yuki, and in third place you've got K-Mag. And then if you're looking at the wins,
really
bank some points early. So if we're looking at wins, Hulk has got 3 wins for the season so far. That's really good. Yuki has also got 3 wins for the season so far. And then, you're looking at a couple of podiums. Dan's got a podium. Zhou's had a win in the opening round. You've also got K-Mag's got a podium. Who else has got a podium? Ocon's got 2 podiums. He's got 18 points in the last 2 races too. So that's what it looks like. And if you just, for those that are new to F1.5, this is what the standings would look like. And I'll use Hulkenberg as an example. So round 1, 8 points. Round 2, 25, 18, 18, 25, 15. So that really equates to a podium every round except for round 1. So a win, a second, a win, and a third. So that's what F1.5 looks like for this year, for season 2024.
Wonderful.
I'm excited.
Oh, I'm very pumped.
And everyone's going to be scoring this year, so I think that's really handy. We're not going to have relegations because it's a clear 10 and 10.
I think that's a shame.
But it's there's nowhere to go.
I always like them to be kicked out.
There's nowhere to go, and if everyone's scoring points, well, there's no point having points not there. So
there's no point having points.
That's what it looks like. The only person that hasn't scored is Logan Sargent in Australia because he didn't get to race. So that is the only blank column for this year.
There you go.
Beautiful. All right, so it's F1.5. I'm excited for this weekend as well. Give me your prediction on your winner. Can Hulk hold steady?
I would have said absolutely not, but that Haas has held steady, and they're actually bringing updates.
Yeah.
When's the last time Haas brought updates during a season?
I don't know, when they sacked Gunter Steiner, and that was an update.
Well, so we've actually seen, they're going to bring some updates soon. Oh, look. At the start of the season, we were really bullish on RB.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say Yuki. I think Yuki can win.
All right. I think he's going to hang on. Yeah, I'm going to say
it'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting one.
All right, cool.
Excellent. Fantasy. Let's get into fantasy now.
Let's get into fantasy. Thanks to Chris at Dr. Auto Art.
Did you remember to do buttons and things, given that we were racing while this was on?
I went without this weekend because I was not confident on what people were going to do, so I left it. I didn't play it. Did you?
No, I haven't touched it for a little while because I forgot about it.
I'm actually feeling good that I haven't used the Limitless because now that Ferrari are looking like they're going to come good and we're going to have a clear 1-2, when we get to somewhere like Monza, it's going to be very easy to make that call. And the people around us are pulling the trigger, are pulling the trigger on their Limitless and are not making headway. So that makes me feel good. So thanks to Chris at Dr. Auto Art. Check out his Redbubble, Facebook, Instagram. Sign up to his newsletter and get your discount subscriptions as well. we'll have Chris on soon because we said we were going to chat to him during
Yes.
Silverstone race weekend. So if you're listening, Chris, we have not forgotten, and yes, we are looking forward to chatting to you. All things British when it comes time to get around to Silverstone. But check him out, and thanks to Chris, who's a great sponsor of our fantasy and our program, Top 3
Did you
place
see
getters.
what's he had?
I know, I feel left out. I don't have any.
He's framed up.
I know, I need to get some.
They look
I know.
really good.
They do.
I'm actually a little jealous of his choices.
Great choices.
Those helmets are magnificent.
Great choices. So yes, I need to get my act in gear and actually buy two because I'm the only one
Yes.
that doesn't have one.
Yes, that's right.
All right, I will do so. All right, let's have a look at the Miami Grand Prix weekend just gone, and we'll just go through the top 10 just for the round. So David Rojas, all Gasly, no brakes, took the round win, tied first place with I'm going to butcher this one. Riedling.
I'm not looking at it, so
right.
I can't help correct you.
Riedling, Vredeling.
Oh, yeah.
That's not too bad. Maybe I haven't had to think about that for a minute. So David Rojas, Riedling, Dean Holt, Chloe Anderson, all tied on 358 points for the round.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with David's team just as an example. Max double points for 80, Leclerc 33, Perez 30, Lando 25, Sainz 26, and the Red Bulls and the Ferraris 85 and 79 respectively. Lando hurt you there because he DNF'd, so he had minus 20, and if you had the double on Lando, that's minus 40.
Ooh.
So there's your
Hang on, so Lando hurt you even though he won?
Yeah, because he DNF'd in the sprint, so it's still minus 20.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so you didn't... If you had Lando, this was not...
That is...
And you went limitless, you did not benefit this week from that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So in fifth place, you got David Parsons on 333, and then tied for sixth, Nicola Taylor, Roman Merrick, and Andrew Taylor on 325 each. And then ninth, Simon Lang, and 10th, Andrew Colston with 309 and 292 respectively. So that's your top 10 for Miami. Let's go through our teams for the weekend. Have you got yours there, my friend, that you can talk to us through?
No, I don't. No, I'm trying to find some changes to make to mine as you're speaking to me.
I love
I know who's in my team, but I don't know how much they
That's good.
scored.
Okay, that's fine. All right, I'll scroll down and I'll find you first. Just bear with me here.
20th.
20th.
Well, not overall
No,
for the
you're
weekend.
not 20th. You're 25th overall.
Weekend I came 20th, I saw.
So you're 25th overall. You are 1,191 points. So, I mean...
Doesn't have to be so quiet.
That's all right, I guess. You had 263 points. You got $2 million in your cost cap, just sitting there doing nothing but collect interest. You had Sainz on 26, Dan on 16, Leclerc the double, the 66, Yuki on 23, Fernando on 9. You had the Ferraris, and you're still sticking with RB. You had 44 points. That sounds good, but it was a sprint weekend, and that's not good.
No, I'm trying to get rid of him
Yeah,
right
so
as we speak. I'm trying to work a way to get a McLaren in.
Yep, I don't think that's going to happen. So you're 263 points. So you're in 25th place overall. I'm still holding steady in 9th.
Well done.
Ninth place. That's everyone going crazy for me.
You're doing your own sound effects
my
now.
own sound
That's
effects.
good.
I think we should bring that. 277 points. So I didn't set the world on fire. I beat you, and that's all that I really care about. I had Perez, 60 points for the double. Hulk, 13. K-Mag, 1. Yuki, 23. Dan, 16. And then the Red Bulls and the Ferrari, like most sensible fantasy players. 85 and 79 respectively. So top 10 looks a little bit like this. Andrew Taylor leads all comers with 1,581. It's getting close now. Like, it's getting real tight. Dean Holt in second on 1,566. David Rojas in third, 1,550. Literally a point off is Faris on 1,549. So that's going to get hot if that's the end of the year. Danielson Musila, sorry Danielson if I've butchered that one as well, 1,493. Chloe Anderson in 6th, 1,465. Roman Merrick on 1,455. Chris Holt, 1,445. My good self, 1,420. And Jolien Dyer, just 1 point off me, 1,419. So that's what fantasy looks like for this week.
Very good. Do you want to know what I'm looking at changing to?
Tell me what you're looking at changing.
Trying to get rid of the RB,
Okay.
which is going to require me to get rid of Leclerc as well,
Right.
and Yuki and Alonso.
So that makes no sense. See, I've well and truly cashed out. Like, I've got 0.4 million. So
No, well, so to do that, I'm wanting to bring in the McLaren.
yep.
I'm confident with where McLaren's at the moment.
Who are your constructors at the moment?
Well, I've got Ferrari and RB, but I want to be Ferrari and McLaren.
Okay, and who are your drivers?
I want to have Sainz,
Yep.
Oscar,
Yep.
Ricardo.
Yep.
But that means I need to then have Albon and Bottas. And that worries me a little bit, those two.
That worries you because if you're looking at the price of those, what's Alex? Alex is 8 million. Valtteri's 6.7, so you can definitely have Valtteri. But in terms of your value, you can have Sargent 6.1.
Yeah, but Sargent doesn't finish races.
No, but he's got 20 points, and Alex has only got 11.
What is going on there?
While it doesn't make common sense,
there is absolutely no way.
Mathematically makes sense
Sargent.
that he can have him in there because he is outscored. Like you wouldn't spend 2 million extra on 9 less points. That doesn't make sense. Lance is 12 million for 10. Valtteri is just shocking value all around. 5 points for 6.7 million. And Dan is your worst. Dan's got a point. A single solitary point in the positive.
Yeah, he's coming good though.
He's at 9.3. So
it's just cost me.
Yeah.
I've gone with it. It's just cost me 10 points to make all those changes.
10 yeah, because you've had to do the extra.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's where you can use your limitless no, not your limitless. You've got one gives you unlimited changes.
I wish I had known that before I just pressed that button.
I'm wrapped that you know afterwards. That you can go to the apply and then throughout the weekend you can just can keep trading in and out and you can lock them in to see if it makes sense. So anyway.
Let's get into some news.
Alright, let's get into some news.
Few things. Points all the way from first all the way through to 20th. Thoughts on... So it's a proposal that's been sent to teams.
Hate it.
The idea behind it is that there's too many teams that are in positions where they're not likely to get points. And so it's about trying to separate those teams a little bit more rather than the lack of getting a win here or there. The other thing that they're hoping to achieve with this is to see the racing continue with the drivers that are a long way out of the points. Quite often if we get to a quarter of the race left, we know that the drivers from 12th, 13th through to 20th aren't in for points. We seem to see them take the foot off the gas a little bit. There's not a lot of exciting racing happening if they don't know what they're going to be in for. And so they're hoping to make all those improvements with the point system. You don't like it. Explain why.
I hate it. Right now, Sauber are on no points. Mm-hmm. They are last.
Yep.
You can give them 7 points. Guess where they are? Last.
Still last.
Williams are also on no points. Let's say Williams have earned 9 points. Guess where they are? They're still second last.
Yep.
Like everyone is still where they are. I'm calling absolute garbage.
Well, that doesn't quite work that way.
It does. This is where everyone is where they are.
Yeah.
This is where they are. Everyone is currently where they are. They just have more points. I'm calling absolute BS on this entire proposal that is going to promote closer racing. You know what it's going to promote? It's going to promote the entry fee bank accounts and pockets of the FIA and Formula One, because for every point that you earn as a constructor, you pay X amount of dollars to enter the championship.
Well,
and with the current cost cap climate looking at being changed and the soft cap, Formula One don't want to take the hit in the pocket for the soft cap that's going to help with the expenditure for infrastructure. So what they're saying is that we want to promote closer racing by giving you a little bit, by giving you a participation certificate. That's what they're saying. Logan Sargent is not going to drive harder than he is currently for a point, which is really, it's a certificate. Because all it's going to do is that Williams are going to earn more points, and then Williams are then going to need to pay a little bit more to enter next year, because suddenly, at the moment, they've got no points, and while they still have to pay...
I think as part of the proposal, they wouldn't do the extra payments.
Absolutely they would.
No.
Absolutely.
So as part of the proposal is that they would restructure, not on points, they'd restructure in terms of how would you position in championship. And so, but I'm with you. I'm with you on the other things. In saying that I'm with you, I don't hate the idea. I love that you don't get points if you're outside of 10th at the moment.
That's what losing is all about.
Well, yeah. I just like that there's a bit of prestige in being in the top 10. It's like that's your target. You're going to lose all that prestige in being in the top 10. I don't hate the other parts of it. I'm not passionately one way or the other at the moment, but yeah, I think it will make some improvements.
No, and this is the split in the field, right? All right, so let's look at the weekend just gone. Yeah, Zhou finished behind Oscar.
Yes.
Tell me that if you offer Zhou a point, that he's going to race harder.
Well, he's not going to
work
Oscar.
harder.
Oscar's in a different car.
This is the exact point that I'm making. Giving Zhou a point is not going to entice him to go any harder than what he is. He is going as hard as he can. That's as far as that Sauber is going. He can have a point, but in no way, shape, or form does it impact the racing.
He's just given the worst example possible.
But that's exactly what they're saying.
But he didn't have the ability to overtake Oscar.
But that's what I'm saying. The order is set.
This situation didn't allow him to have the ability to overtake Oscar. However, if we had looked at a different combination in the bottom 10, bottom 10, well, we might have seen them fighting all the way to the flag for those positions.
So Ocon and Alonso fought all the way regardless.
Yeah.
And that was for 1 and 2 points.
Yeah.
So if you suddenly...
So that's a great example as to why to have it, because they were looking for points.
But then...
They were pushing for points.
But
of course they were.
If you're offering Fernando 10 more points and Ocon 10 more points, right, they're still fighting as hard as what they already are.
We're not talking about those two because they're already getting the points. We're talking about the drivers that are in the next echelon that are fighting to try and get the extra point. Those two were fighting, and there was only 1 point on offer.
Yep.
They were fighting for 1 point or 2 points, and they fought all the way. And so what that does is you get that fight all the way through the field. Now, just because I'm arguing for it doesn't mean I'm for it.
No, I know.
But I can see the benefit of it for that very reason. I love the idea.
I can't because the order is set.
Yeah. You keep saying it's set. However, they're not getting points, and so they're not fighting all the way. I want to see that Ocon and Alonso fight in the rest of the field as well.
See, I think they are fighting all the way. I cannot see any sort of.
We see teams pull cars out all the time because they don't want to drive them all the way. There's no point. We hear Alonso say sometimes, there's no point in continuing this race. I'm going to pull. Or you're not going to get that situation. You're going to see drivers fighting it out all the way.
I can't see a driver suddenly coming to life.
We'll see the whole team come to life.
I can't. I really can't. I can't envision it. And I think that's got to be part of the sport. You have to have a winner and you have to have a loser. Like, that's what sport is. You can't just give everyone trophies. Like, that's not to the extent, but it'd be like saying, let's all have a medal for finishing. Like, let's all have something to recognise that you finished. No.
Yeah, I don't think anyone should get a point unless they finish.
Yeah, no, you've got to finish, but then, you can't. You have to have it. We are at the absolute echelon of motorsport. We are at the highest peak. There are winners and there are losers. And it is like you get something or you don't get something. And if you're not getting something, you need to work harder to get something. Because then,
Do you think we should go back to the top 6 only getting points?
No, I'm happy with the 10. I think 10 is fine.
Should we go to 12?
No, not at all. Not at all. If you're 11th, you're not good enough. Like, you've got to have that cutoff point that you are not good enough for points. Like, you have to. Because then the concern is that everyone's just rolling around feeling fluffy. Like, we're a 3-point team every race.
I think the whole thing changes that dynamic around. Yeah, like I don't know. I think it changes the value of points. Obviously,
of course it does.
But I don't know that that's the worst thing in the world. I don't know if it's the worst thing in the world.
It's not an area that needs to be focused on in the sport either.
What, racing down? Well, it does at the moment because.
But points though, like
because
there aren't
watching
fans.
Max run away, like we don't watch the front runners anyway. We watch somewhere that's fighting for points.
But then Max still wins.
Yeah, I know, and no one knows anything about it because we don't focus on him because he's all that way out in front. So we focus on drivers that are fighting for points. I think it's just another area.
But then we also do see drivers that are just fighting because it's a good battle. Like we've had race weekends where we've watched
we do definitely
16th, 17th and 18th and no one's getting a point, but we're just enjoying the racing too. I mean, that's my concern. Like, you have to have a cutoff point Because then if you say, okay, we'll give 11th a point, well, then the guy in 12th has gone, why can't I have a point? Like, you have to draw the line somewhere and say, nah, sorry, you haven't worked hard enough. Like, I, if you think about the start of the year with Williams, like, their opening of the season is not points worthy. Like, you can't, yeah. It's a massive no from me. A massive no.
Oh, I hadn't noticed.
You have to. You have to cut it off.
Let's talk wet wheel covers.
Wet wheel covers. They are wet.
Another
on the
massive
inside.
no from you.
Oh.
So just to put some groundwork in for those people who haven't caught up at home. So last year we saw I don't know, I can't remember who tested it. Someone tested some wheel covers and they were absolute did not work.
It was just like it was like a mud flap.
Yep,
is the best way
and
to
it did not
describe it.
work one bit whatsoever. It actually made the car quite undrivable, but it also didn't displace the spray.
No.
Now what? There's a few people who are like, oh, it hasn't worked, it's never going to work, we can't do this. And I think what a lot of people went with, and they've gone with it with this one as well, is, oh, it didn't work, so we can't do it. Well, I think it's just they're exploring this. This hasn't been explored in detail by clever people, particularly before. And so they're looking at, rightio, what effects does this have if we do this? Yep. What effect does it have if we do this?
Yep.
And so last one didn't have any positive effects on it.
No.
This one, I did not see it ran in the rain or in wet conditions.
It was a bit of a hosed track.
Yeah, but I think it was mostly about, righto, well, let's just see what happens with a dry track to start with.
Yeah.
And we'll see how the car behaves with them on.
I'll see if I find the image. Sure.
See if the car behaves with them on. And they tried two different types.
Yep.
And they were both very, very ugly.
Yeah.
But I don't know that, I'm not sure that anything was released as to how successful they were.
Well, I'm going to do it like I always do. I'm going to show a photo.
Oh, good.
That's with and without.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Not a glaring difference.
Spray guards, no spray guards. Yeah.
Not a glaring difference.
No.
No.
I'm not sure that photo's overly helpful.
No, but then if you look at that really quickly, and if I hadn't shown you his first one, you don't know which one's got guards or which one don't.
No.
Unless you're looking for it.
No, probably not.
So they sort of, I mean, obviously in prototype phase, more questions than answers for any of them.
But like I said, it's more, I just want to see, if we do this, what's the result? So then they can know for the next one, right, we need to do more of that or less of that. So, I don't think anyone's expecting it to be like, oh, we've got it, here it is. Oh, no, it didn't work. It's more like, it's like you can run things through the CFD and all that sort of stuff, but the rain actually behaves slightly differently, or the moisture behaves slightly differently to the cars. What I do like, and I had this conversation with somebody, with a mate of mine, and what I do like is the idea that we can do this in a racing pit stop. I don't want to see a red flag where they give them 20 minutes to go and fit these to a car.
So that was probably my big question. I think a lot of fans, when we showed the photos that were captured by, I think it was Formula Uno that was out near Fiorano that took those, is you look instantly at the concepts, and the first question is, how the hell do you get that off? Because
get it on.
Yeah, get it on, and how do you get it off? And then you're right, my first thought was a minute pit stop. Like,
great.
How do you get them off? How do you get the wheel gun in? Then you got to take the housing off. Then you got to take the wheel off. Then you got to put the assembly back on.
Now, see, I like that idea.
Yep.
I think it obviously has to be announced that we're doing this. Like, you've got a lap or 3 laps to get them on.
Yep.
And I quite like that idea of that coming back into racing.
Yeah. My other big question was with the spray guard being directly over the top of the wheel and what looks to be 3/4 of the actual wheel face itself, are we not capturing the rooster tail inside that housing?
I think the idea is they're trying to spray it sideways.
Yeah. Only one of the concept looked like it was going to go sideways, but then how do you direct that water?
No, well, I think they were
out.
From my very short amount of reading on it, is one was going to spray the water out in a vast spray, like a wide spray, and the other one's going to be a more direct spray.
See, I remember the initial concept and the sketches for when it was first sort of mentioned that it was actually going to shoot it more directly up in the air, so guard it away from the back of the back of the wing. And then allow visibility to be better because your rooster tail isn't going directly down, like sort of up and over and down into the person behind you. And that was what that sort of mud flap concept was. But these look to be that fully housed.
Yeah.
And I think, is the water not going to get up in there and then stay and collect in there, making what is a wet track and then have it raining coming down? Which then my other question is, why don't we just race in the wet? Anyway, I mean,
well, it's about visibility.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to improve visibility because you can't race with these cars in the wet because they are so good at picking up that moisture off the ground.
And look, I'd say on face value, it's kind of worked, but it's kind of not worked. But then you're right with the wheel changes. There's so many more logistics to it.
But I think that the last part, like you find a solution that's going to work for the team.
For the car. I'd imagine that's the first.
No, and then they work out the logistics. Rightio, is this possible? Can we make up a mount where this is going to be a quick fix onto a car in a racing situation, or has it got to be a 20-minute red flag where everyone gets a chance to pull off the wheels, pull off something else, and you're going to sort of hold it in there?
Yeah. Because I even think of some of the wheel housing on the WSC hypercars where they've just got that sort of... they've got the cutout at the top where it covers and protects the front. You don't get a lot of that upward spray.
Yep.
But, I mean, that's also open wheel racing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't know.
I think probably...
A lot of work still to be done. Certainly not just slamming it, but a lot of work.
I think they were hoping to have a little bit more understanding of where they're going to be before 2026 with the idea of incorporating as part of that.
Yep.
But I'm not sure they're going to get there. Any other news you want to mention?
Gunther Steiner is suing Haas for use of his face as part of promotion in his identity. But now Haas is counter-suing Gunther for his references to the team in his book Surviving to Drive and his use of Haas in there. So, interesting. Someone's going to...
It's not a happy end to that relationship,
It's not a happy end to the relationship at all. And although Gunther himself said that he stayed probably 12 months too long, it's not a happy end to that relationship too. I want to give you a quick hero of the hour while I think of it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Fred Vasseur.
Oh, not for me.
Not for you. Fred Vasseur, being part of the McLaren celebration.
Oh, I did like that.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. He's the team boss that we didn't know we needed. Yeah. Isn't he? He's not the knives out Toto.
He's a cooler team boss since he's been at Ferrari.
He's a cool team boss.
Most people get in a Ferrari and they look cooler.
You know what? I feel like he's probably always been cool, but we've never really wanted to know who the Alfa Romeo boss is.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's he's the team boss.
I like it.
We didn't know we needed.
Anything else?
No, that's sort of it in terms of news.
We're about to hit a double header. We haven't had a double header for a little while. We had the first two were double headers, and then we've had breaks. God. So we're off to Imola,
and then we're off to Monaco.
We
are gonna see a McLaren red and white livery in Monaco.
Oh,
we're gonna see it.
Oh,
I've been watching it. Like, you know what I'm like with these things. I'm very good.
Here comes another dud of the day.
We're gonna
don't you go promising things.
We're gonna see merchandise. All indications point. It's 30-year anniversary of Senna.
Wouldn't it be wonderful?
It's just Gasly's running a Senna helmet at Imola, which I love. There's gonna be tributes galore. Seb's done a Senna. Can't even speak today. Seb's done a Senna clothing line. He's gonna be driving the McLaren around Imola, doing a show run. We're going to see it.
It's going to be a good couple of weekends of racing in it.
The opposite of Ferrari.
Oh, well, we can always hope. Prediction?
Prediction for Imola.
Are you strong enough on Ferrari that
you know what? I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to go Charles, Carlos, Max. Whoa. I'm just going to put it on the line this week. I'll happily wear the dud next week if that's fine, and the week after if we don't get the McLaren.
Yeah, you could. I'm going to go for a 3.
I'm going to make the brave calls.
No, I'm going to go Max into Norris into Piastri.
Okay.
Just. Yep. Yeah. Great. Well, I don't think I'm going to have more.
Thanks.
Excellent. We'll get out our fan frenzy as well before we get to the double header. But yeah, thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week. No camps on. We'll be back next week. Flying colours to talk to you all about the Imola Grand Prix. Goodbye now.